Good morning, student. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Good morning,
Okay.
sir.
Morning. So we'll continue with the power system stability because we have started this chapter. And we'll take up a numerical. This problem we have not taken, I think, if you can remember. So problem is in the system shown in figure.
Hello, sir.
I think somebody has to mute. There is a background noise, okay. In the system shown in figure, a three-phase static capacitor reactor of reactance 1 per unit per phase is connected through a switch at the motor bus. Calculate the limit of steady state power with and without reactor switch closed. So the system is shown here. This is the generator. Then we have a generator transformer, and it is a bus bar. And then after that, there is a transmission line and it is terminated at a bus. After that, there is a transformer and it is connected with a motor. Now at this bus, there is a capacitor is connected. Okay, capacitive reactor is connected. So we need to calculate the steady state power limit with this capacitor and without this capacitor. Recalculate the power limit with capacitor reactor replaced by an inductive reactor of the same type. So here, instead of this capacitive reactor, we'll connect an inductive reactor, and the same thing, that is we'll calculate what is the steady state power limit. Assume the internal voltage of the generator to be 1.2 per unit. This is the 1.2 per unit, and that of the motor to be 1 per unit. So this is 1 per unit. So how to solve this problem? So when we have to calculate the steady state power limit, we should know that the steady state power limit, it is how to calculate steady state power limit? Anyone? Steady state power limit. How to calculate steady state power limit? Any idea from anyone? This is basically denoted by EV by X. Okay. What is E? E is the internal voltage of the generator. Internal voltage of the generator. V is the terminal voltage at the generator terminal. And X is the reactance between generator and generator terminal. So basically this is the net reactance. So here also we'll apply this same thing. Now you see first case, the steady state power limit without reactor. So there is no reactor is there. So only between the generator and motor. So generator internal voltage is 1.2 per unit, and for the motor it is 1 per unit. Now what is the reactance between these two? This is 1 per unit, then 0.1, then this is 0.25, this is 0.1, then 1. So what is the total reactance between the, because this is your terminal, okay, generator, and this is the motor. So between these two, what is the total reactance without this capacitor? This capacitor is not connected. Please tell me, what is the net reactance? What is the net reactance?
2.45.
2.45. Yeah, it's correct. It's 2.45. Okay. So that means you see this is 1.2 into 1 by the total reactance. It is correct. 1, 2, and it is 2.45. There is 2.45. So if you calculate, then that is the steady state power limit without reactance. Now the first part is clear. First part, this part is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now next, second part, we need to calculate the steady state power limit when this capacitor is connected. Now when this capacitor is connected, you see this generator will be there, then this transformer, then there is a transmission line, and in parallel with this there is a capacitor. So if you see that this is a generator, then generator reactance, then we have this is the transformer reactance, and this is the transmission line reactance. Then we have a parallel capacitor. Now why it is minus J1? Anyone can say minus J1? Because the capacity for capacitor, the value of the reactance is 1 per unit. So 1 by J. See, I will show you this thing. You should understand this thing. So value is 1 per unit. The capacitance value is given, that is 1 per unit. So what is the capacitive reactance? It is basically 1 by omega C. Okay, 1 by J omega C. That is the capacitive reactance. So this omega C value is 1 per unit. It is given because it is per unit. So per unit means this J into 1. Now what will happen? If you multiply J in the numerator, this will be minus J square. J square into 1. So this will be minus 1. J square equal to minus 1. So this is minus. Is it clear now? Is it clear why this value is minus J1? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you see this, we have this particular reactance that is 0.1. Then after that, there is a motor reactance that is 1 per unit. And then this is the motor. Now what has to be done? This is basically, you see, these all are connected in series. Then these also connected in series. Now this is basically, it is your star connection. This is star connection. Okay. Now we need to, this is a star connection. Now what has to be done? We need to form a delta. So we'll apply star delta conversion. So star delta conversion means one reactance will come here, another reactance will come between this, and another reactance will come here. Yes or no? Please understand. So this is this reactance after star delta conversion, and this is this reactance. Okay. And the upper one is this one. So we are applying the star delta conversion, that you know that how to convert a star network to a delta network. We are applying that formula. So we are getting J.965. So the steady state power limit will be this particular voltage into this voltage, that is EV by X. So E is this one, V is this one, and X, that is the net reactance. Net reactance, what we are getting, this is the net reactance, because reactance between this generator and motor, it is J.965. So it is 0.965, that is 1.244. Is it clear? Is it clear? Second part. Second part is clear. Second part is clear or not? Hello? If it is not clear, then I will tell you.
Clear, sir.
Okay. Next, what we'll have, we are replacing that capacitor by an inductive reactance. Okay. So what will happen for an inductive reactance, I will show you. that for an inductor, there will not be. So for an inductor, the reactance we know that is basically J omega L. Now, this omega L is your 1 per unit. So that's why it is J1 per unit. So that's why here we have substituted J1. So now what we'll do, again we'll apply that same thing, that is we'll apply the star delta conversion. So one reactance will come here, another reactance is this one, another reactance is this one. Now we are basically interested for the reactance which is connected between the generator and motor. So generator is this one, motor is this one. So reactance which is connected between these two, it is J 3.935. So the steady state power limit will be, that is EV by X. So E is 1.2 per unit and V is 1 per unit. The reactance which is calculated, that is 3.935. So the steady state power will be 0.304. Any doubt on this? Any doubt? Any doubt on this problem? So should I proceed to the next problem?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So another problem is given. You can refer this problem in later on. Now, next part is machine connected to infinite bus. Anyone can say what is infinite bus? Any idea on the infinite bus? The definition of the infinite bus, because normally in power system you will be having this particular term, that is the infinite bus. So in the infinite bus, the voltage and frequency of this bus remains constant. Okay, so this is the actually definition of the infinite bus. So here you see there is a generator. The voltage, internal voltage is E dash delta. The voltage at the infinite bus is V angle 0. So always you remember the infinite bus, it is taken as the reference bus. One more thing just I will add here. This infinite bus is always taken as reference bus. This is the reference bus, and the voltage of this particular bus is always taken as V angle 0. So as it is a reference bus, so the angle of this bus is always taken as 0. So this is the basically convention. So this is V angle 0 and X dash T. This is the basically machine direct axis reactance, and X is the reactance between this generator and the infinite bus. So the net transfer reactance between this bus and the generator, it is X dash D plus Xc. Now the power transfer, this is the well-known equation. This is the well-known equation. So from where we are getting, we know that the synchronous generator power output, active power output equation is EV by X into sine delta. If you can remember that synchronous machine, the output of the generator is always EV by X into sine delta. Now here, what is the power output? This is E dash into V by X transfer, that is the net reactance into sine delta. So this E dash into V by X transfer, this is basically denoted by P max. So P equal to basically P max sine delta. Now we will write the swing equation. So swing equation, what we have, what is known to us, that is H by pi F into d2 delta by dt square equal to Pm minus P. Are you familiar with this equation? First tell me. Are you familiar? Do you know this equation? H by pi F. In last class we have discussed in swing equation. Last class we have discussed this thing. Do you know this equation? Hello? See, you are, whether you are here, I don't know. Are you connected? Hello? Hello? Are you connected?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this equation is, are you familiar with this equation? H by pi F into d2 delta by dt square equal to Pm minus P. Swing equation. Please tell me yes or no. There is a answer. Answer should be there. Okay, I think there is a network issue. Rahul, he has given that message. Yes. Okay, fine. Now this equation you see here. So this is the basically when we are having a, let us say, single machine, a single generator, when it is connected to the infinite bus. So the swing equation, if you have to apply, then it is H by pi F into d2 delta by dt square equal to Pm minus P. Because P we have calculated this thing, and Pm is your mechanical power input, that will be your known value, that is known to you. Now next is the two machine system. So two machine system, let us say a generator here, this is a Pm is the mechanical input and this is electrical output. So that means this is a generator. Now the EMF of this generator is E1 dash and power angle is delta 1. X dash D1 is the direct axis reactance of this particular generator. Now here we have a motor, where motor your input is here input is your electrical power and you have a output. Okay, no, this is also a generator because there is a mechanical input and we have an electrical output. So, and the direct axis reactance of this generator 2 is X dash D2. So we have a two generator, it is connected with a reactor XC. Okay. Now we need to apply the swing equation. So how to apply? So during the steady state or in the dynamic condition, the electrical power output of the generator must be absorbed by the motor, thus at all times P1 equal to minus P2 equal to P. So now we'll apply the swing equation for the two machine system. So two machine system, how we can write? It is d2 delta by dt square. That is for the first generator. So pi f by h1. See, h1 by pi f. So this thing is taken this side. Okay, that's why it is pi f by h1. It is pm1 minus p1. So pi f by h1, it is pm minus p. So that is basically mechanical input. PM1 equal to PM and P1 equal to P. Now here for the second generator, it is d2 delta 2 by dt square equal to pi f by h2. Now what is h? H is the inertia constant. So this is PM2 minus P2 So this is equal to pi f by H2 P minus P. So because PM2 equal to P and P2 equal to your PM2 equal to PM and P2 equal to P. So from here we are actually substituting. Now let us say we are taking d2 delta 1 minus delta 2 by dt square. So that means we are taking the difference of these two, this equation minus this equation. We are taking the difference. So this is pi f minus, so what will happen, you see, this pi f PM minus P here, this minus will come. Now this minus and this delta 2 minus, both minus becomes plus. That's why this is 1 by H1 plus 1 by H2, it will come. So finally we are getting H1 plus H2 by H1, H2. So this thing we are writing as a H equivalent. So we can write H equivalent by pi f into d2 delta by dt square equal to PM minus P, where delta equal to delta 1 minus delta 2 and H equivalent equal to H1 H2 by H1 plus H2. So if there is a two-machine system which is connected with a reactor, so the equivalent net equivalent inertia constant will be H1 into H2 by H1 plus H2. Now the electrical power interchange, so that means the power output, electrical power output from this combined system, this will be your EV by X into sin delta. So what is EV by X? So E1 dashed into E2 dashed, this is E into V, because these are the two terminal voltages. And then the net reactance is X dash D1 plus XC plus X dash D2 into sin delta. So this is the basically power output equation of the two machine system. Any doubt on this? Any questions? So any question on this? Anything you want to say? Please switch on your camera. I want to see whether you are there or not. I cannot understand. Please switch on your camera. All of you, please switch on. Shambir, Deepak Yadav. Deepak Yadav. Yes. Then Devendranath Kumar. Devendranath Kumar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Just I want to see.
Hello.
Devendranath Kumar. Yeah. So.
Yes, sir.
You are
Present.
understanding this thing? Yes. See, if I am telling you, you switch on your camera, so I should be visible. Okay. So whether you are Shambir, is you are driving something?
Sir, I am outside because
Okay. But still you are attending classes. Okay. Okay.
yes, sir.
But if you are understanding this these particular theories.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I will continue then. Okay. Please switch. Then you can switch
Okay.
camera. Okay. Now next is the numerical problem, that is a generator has an inertia constant of 4 megajoule per MVA. Write the swing equation upon occurrence of the fault. What is the initial angular acceleration? If this acceleration can be assumed to remain constant for delta t equal to 0.05 second, find the rotor angle at the end of this time interval at the new acceleration. So this is the actually problem which is given. So we will apply the swing equation and we have to solve it. Now swing equation we know h by pi f. Pi is 180f into d2 delta by dt square equal to pm minus p. So this is a actually well-known equation. So you also know this equation. Now h value here it is given. Here h value is 4. Okay, h is 4. Frequency is 50 Hz. So 4 by 180 into f into d2 delta by dt square, pm equal to 1, and p value it is given 0.694 into sine delta. These values are given actually. You don't have to worry for these values. Now d2 delta by dt square equal to, if you simplify it, this will be 2250 into 1 minus 0.694 sine delta. Now we are, so this is your angular acceleration. This is your angular acceleration. Now your initial value of delta 0, that is given 33.9. So at t equal to 0 plus, because you are supposed to calculate at t equal to 0.05. So first at t equal to 0 plus, initially what is the angular acceleration? So we'll substitute that delta 0 value 33.9. We are substituting, we are getting 1379 electrical degree per second square. Now d delta by dt, that is 0, because rotor speed cannot change suddenly, because see d2 delta by dt square you are getting this constant value. So d delta by dt should be equal to 0, because we know that the rotor speed cannot change suddenly. Now delta delta, this will be at t equal to 0.05 second. This will be half into alpha into t square, because it is similar thing. That is s equal to ut plus half ft square. Similarly, your delta, angle delta equal to your ut. U is initial speed. So here it is basically that is basically omega t plus half into alpha into d square. So here omega is 0, initial speed is 0. So that's why it is half into alpha into d square. So alpha is 1379 and t is 0.05. So that is equal to your 1.7. Now delta 1 will be equal to delta 0 plus delta delta. So delta 0 initial value it is 13, the delta 0 it is 33.9, and delta delta we have calculated that is 1.7, so it is basically 35.6. So now we will calculate at t equal to 0.05. What is the alpha value? So this is your delta. So alpha value, what will be the value? Because here we have the equation 2250 minus 0.694 into sine delta. So delta value we have calculated 35.6. So we can calculate that is 1341 electrical degree per second square. Now it is clear. Any doubt on this problem? I hope there is no problem. Okay. Next is the steady state stability. So we need to understand in detail that what is the basically steady state stability of a power system. Now the steady state stability limit of a particular circuit of a power system, it is defined as the maximum power that can be transmitted to the receiving end without loss of synchronism. So suppose you are transmitting power from the sending end to the receiving end. Now, how much power you can transmit, how much maximum power that you can transmit with the help of that particular line without losing the synchronism. Because that if the particular machine is losing the synchronism, that the machine will not be able to deliver the power to the grid. Okay. So in that case, the machine should be connected with the system. That means the synchronism should be continued. And without loss of synchronism, how much maximum power that can be transferred from the sending end to the receiving end, that is basically your steady state stability limit. Now we'll consider the simple system whose dynamics is defined by the equation. Let us say this is the swing equation. M into d2 delta by dt square equal to pm minus p. So this is the basically basic swing equation. If you can remember, this is the basic swing equation. So m equal to h by pi f and p equal to ev by xt into sine delta. That is p max into sine delta. Now for determination of the steady state limit, steady state stability, the direct axis reactance xd and voltage behind XD are used in the above equation. So that is basically we need to calculate the total reactance of the system. Now the plot of this particular equation, this equation. So this will be a sine curve. This will be a sine curve because P equal to Pm P max sine delta. Now maximum value will be P max. Okay. So let the system be operating with steady state power of P0 equal to Pm with torque angle delta 0 as indicated in the figure. Assume a small increment delta P in the electrical power with the input from the prime mover remaining fixed at Pm. So your input is fixed. So what will happen? The Pm is your mechanical input. So that mechanical input remains fixed, but your electrical output that gets changed by a small amount. So swing equation, how this delta will change if there is a change if the difference between the mechanical power input and electrical power output, if there is any change, so obviously that will be affected in this particular delta value. So delta means the power angle. If the power angle changes, the machine speed will also change. Okay, we have seen that. Now the speed of the energy causing the torque angle to change. So if there is a change in this Pm remains fixed, but there is an increment in delta P. So what will happen? The delta value it changes from delta 0 to delta 0 plus delta delta. Now we are linearizing this about the point Q0, that is, so we are calculating what is the differential power, net differential change in power, electrical power. So this is delta P equal to delta P by delta delta into delta. This is a differential change. So basically differential change, net differential change is calculated. If you can, I will show you that how we are calculating the net differential change. Suppose you are calculating that delta X so this is delta F by delta X into delta X. So this is the net change, net differential change, net differential change. So in this case, it is P. So P will be equal to delta P by delta delta into delta. Okay. So this way we are actually writing this. This is the case. Okay. So now what we'll do, we'll apply the swing equation, that is m into d2 delta by dt square equal to Pm minus P0 plus delta P. So P0, because there is a change. Initially it is P, but initially it is P0. Now there is a change. So that change is delta P. So P0 plus delta P and mechanical input remains fixed. That is Pm. So finally, the net change of this thing is basically Pm minus P0. This will cancel because in steady state both are equal. So we have only delta P minus delta P. So finally, this m into d2 delta by dt square equal to delta P. So we are writing this delta P because this thing we are taking in the left hand side. So this becomes plus. Now we are substituting this thing. Delta P by delta delta into delta delta equal to 0. So now your P equal to we are writing, that is ddt. So this is, as it is a double differentiation, this will be mp square plus delta P by delta delta, and delta delta is common. So this is equal to 0. So mp square plus delta P by delta delta equal to 0. So we can calculate the roots. Roots P will be equal to plus minus delta P by delta delta by m, and then square root of that. So when you have a certain change in the this particular thing, so you can understand that this particular thing is negative. So that means negative means this is the roots will lie on the imaginary axis. So if the roots are lying on the imaginary axis, so what will happen? The system response will be, if the roots are lying, this is your sigma. and this is your j omega. So your roots are lying here and here. That is your plus j omega, and this is your minus j omega. So if that is the case, then the response will be, so if you want to plot the response, so response will be, it is oscillatory in nature. A sustained oscillation will be continued. A sustained oscillation, continuous sustained oscillation will be continued. So as long as this delta P by delta delta is positive, so the roots are purely imaginary and conjugate, and the system behavior is oscillatory about delta zero. So I told you that will be basically oscillatory in nature. So line resistance and damper winding of the machine which have been ignored of the machine of the above modeling cause the system oscillation to take decay. So we know that in synchronous machine there is the damper winding. So this damper winding has basically this task. The damper winding has to damp out this oscillation. This sustained oscillation will be damped out with the help of this damper winding. Now next case, there are many cases will come. 3 cases basically. First it is positive and then it is negative, let us say. So delta P by delta E, delta delta is negative. Means this particular thing is negative. So if this is negative, this becomes positive. So this becomes positive means what will happen? The roots are real. The roots will not be imaginary. So one will be positive, another will be negative. So what will happen? The torque angle therefore increases without bound upon occurrence of a small increment, and the synchronism is soon lost. See why this synchronism will be lost? Anyone can tell why this synchronism will be lost? Anyone? If this value is negative, the synchronism will be lost. What is the reason? The reason is, so you have these roots, this P equal to plus minus delta P by delta delta by M. This is square. Okay. Now let us say this delta P by delta delta, it is negative. What will happen? This P will have, this will become this negative and this negative becomes positive. So you have delta P by delta delta by M. So you have the roots will be something. One root will lie in both the roots will be real one. This will not be imaginary. One root will lie here, another root will lie in the opposite to that. Now we know for the system stability, the root should lie in which axis? The root should lie on the left hand side of the S plane. This is your sigma. This is your j omega. This is your S plane. So roots will lie in the left half of the S plane. So if the roots are, because here you see the roots are lying on the right half of the S plane, the system is unstable. That's why system is unstable. So that's why the synchronism is lost. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So this delta P by delta delta, it is known as the synchronizing coefficient, and this is called also called the stiffness or of the coefficient of the electrical of the synchronous machine. Now let us say if E by X cos delta, it is less than 0. So if it is less than 0, the delta should be greater than 0. Now, so the maximum value of that can be power can be transmitted without the loss of stability. So delta value should be, maximum value of the delta should be 90 degree. So maximum value of the delta should be 90 degree. That means what will be that? That is EV by X into sine delta. So delta is 90 degree. So the sine 90 means 1. So this will be EV by X. Okay. So if the system is operating below the limit of the steady state stability, it may continue to oscillate for a long time. If the damping is low, persistent oscillations are a threat to the system security. And the study of the system damping is the study of the dynamic stability. So there is a concept of the dynamic stability where basically we are dealing with the system oscillation. Okay. But normally if the delta value, if this delta value is up to 90 degree, the chances of losing the synchronism will be less. But if this delta value is beyond this 90 degree, the chances of the system may lose the synchronism. Okay. So now we'll share with you attendance. So please put your attendance. QR code is visible, na? QR code is visible. QR code is visible. Hello. Hello.
Visible, sir.
Okay. Please put your attendance. Please put your attendance now. Okay, I hope it is over, na? I hope it is over. Okay, so I will stop share this thing.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We'll continue in next class. Thank you.